Good morning. Thank you for joining into the Kehila Chari Torah Halacha review for Friday morning, the 6th of November. We started speaking yesterday about tasting the Shabbos food. We're going through a whole chapter here of preparations for Shabbat. So we said tasting the Shabbos food is part of Shabbos itself. I think we touched on this a little bit yesterday, where it says, so this is what he writes, if possible, you should taste all the dishes on Erev Shabbos. When tasting the foods, the custom, as mentioned in Mishmeres Shalom, Minig Yisrael Torah, Shulchan HaTohar, and a number of other sources, is one says, Toameh Chaim Zachu. Those who taste it merit life. What are we talking about? The statement itself is talking about if we have a taste, if we have a sense, or a little bit of learning, or even a thought about the Messianic era, so we'll be able to enjoy it when it arrives. Similar to one who prepares for Shabbat, who prepares delicious foods, delicacies, and has a little taste of them on Friday, and they're that much more enjoyable on Shabbos. Of course, if someone doesn't prepare on Shabbos, then there's nothing to eat on Saturday. Similarly, if one doesn't prepare in this world, there's nothing to eat in the world to come, and similarly, nothing to enjoy in the time which is like Shabbos. That's one reference that the rabbis say with reference to the Messianic era, is it's like the day that's all Shabbat. So if we taste a little bit of it now, we set a path for ourselves in simplest way to enjoy it when it arrives. Question about one makes a blessing, whether tasting the food on Erev Shabbos, because it's not for one's own enjoyment, but really part of the mitzvah of Oneg Shabbos. So some poskim say certainly that if you're going to eat a considerable part, you should make a bracha. And if you even have intention to enjoy the food a little bit now, when tasting it, you certainly make a blessing. I'm not aware of anyone who says that you don't have to make a blessing when tasting the foods on Erev Shabbos. Now, interesting thing that comes up, Ashkenazim have a custom not to eat meat during the 9 days. So on Friday, how can you taste the chicken or whatever it happens to be that's being prepared for Shabbos? So it's not on Shabbos you're allowed to eat, even during the 9 days, even on Tisha B'Av itself. But that doesn't necessarily apply to before. But since we're saying that this tasting food on Friday afternoon is a little bit like tasting it on Shabbos, they're connected. Some actually do allow, because it's a mitzvah of Shabbos. Yalkut Yosef Mon Moedim, that's Rav Avadia Yosef, and a few others mention that's okay. All right. Last point that he makes here is about making a statement. The Mishnah actually says that the head of a household should ask whether or not meiseres, tithes, were removed from food, and if challah was taken from the dough for the bread before it was baked into challahs. And the poskim, many of the poskim say that since we generally speaking don't do those today in Israel, we do at least take trumas and meiseres. However, in Chutz La'aretz, outside Israel and Canada here, we usually don't take the tithes from foods. We do take challah, but many of us, some of us, we buy food that's baked, or buy breads that are baked at the bakery, and of course we know that if they're under reliable rabbinic supervision, then challah is taken from the dough before it's actually baked. So those are not non-operative today, but generally speaking, they're not practiced in day-to-day life. However, we are supposed to mention the time to light candles. If one is fortunate to have a husband in the household, so then that husband is supposed to tell the wife, if he's blessed with a wife, mention the idea of candle lighting. In other words, to say what time candle lighting is for Shabbat. Preferable to mention that as close as possible to Shabbos. You could certainly do that for yourself also. Say verbally what time the candle is supposed to be lit. Okay, so there's that. Speaking about Shabbos, let me just mention the times for tonight. We have changed the clock as of last Motzei Shabbos. Surely you got that message since last Saturday night. So this afternoon, we are lighting candles at 4:43. That's the time for candle lighting. Mincha, Kabbalat Shabbat, we will not be meeting in Shul, unfortunately, at the moment until the COVID crisis clears away. So 4:45 is the time we would be davening, meeting here in Shul for Kabbalat Shabbat, Mincha, Kabbalat Shabbos. If you'd like to join together with the community in a spiritual sense for prayer at that time, there is services tomorrow morning, Shachris at 10 a.m. for those who have pre-registered, as usual, as with our procedure. Mincha, you could daven anytime after, I think, 1:45 or so, maybe even a little bit earlier. And Shabbat does end at 5:45 tomorrow evening. You'll notice that it gets darker considerably earlier now, especially that we've changed the clocks. Everyone's welcome to join us for Zoom Havdalah at 5:55 p.m. You have the link in your email, and there is a special program. Our guest from last summer, a year ago in the summer, Rabbi Josh Sipis from Highland Park, New Jersey, invited us to participate in a talk, a Q&A, also about racism and Judaism, given by one of the Magid Yeshir, one of the Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Jeremy Weider from Yeshiva University. So that's going to be at 8 p.m. You need to pre-register for that. So if you'll check in yesterday's email, there is a link. You send that. You link to that. You fill in your name and your email address and your congregational affiliation, and you let them know that you'd like to participate, and they'll send you a link that you can tune in. You can Zoom on, whatever the phrase is these days, at 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Motzei Shabbos, 8 p.m. will be that Zoom cast live from Central New Jersey. Sunday morning, please come have brunch with me. Everybody join on the Zoom BYOB, bring your own bagel brunch. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about. I got a lot of things on my mind, and I'm sure you do too. So we'll have a bagel, maybe a cup of coffee, maybe something a little more tasty, and the conversation certainly will be delightful and gishmak. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and we will see you soon on Zoom, if not in person. Good Shabbos.